Guys, we're here at the Salt Lake City Comic-Con, and I'm here with Alexander from Wildstar Tempest. Alexander, thanks for joining us on the show.
Wonderful to be here.
Now, Wildstar Tempest is an awesome place to get excellent books and artwork, but you guys do a whole covey of things. Tell us about Wildstar Tempest.
Well, Wildstar Tempest is a company that effectively started back when I saw my very first anime. And it was the Battleship Yamato back in the 70s. And I looked at that and went, that's amazing. So my dad took me to my first Comic-Con, and I walked in and I was completely awestruck and said, this is what I want to do. So from that time, I grew up and I didn't reach that dream. And then I met a couple of artists who all wanted to come out and start fulfilling their dreams. And we said, well, why don't we form a company that can allow folks to draw some spectacular art, write books, do movies, and we've been doing that for the past few years.
Very cool. Now, you have some of those talents as well. You not only started the company, but you also possess some of those skills.
A little bit. I recently wrote Shifting Swords, Aftermath of Night. It's a series of 7 books. The first one is out for published right now, Dog Ear Publishing. You can buy it at wildstartempest.com or other major bookstores. And it just brand new launched a few weeks ago, and we're glad to be selling that here.
Very cool. Now let's talk about this book. Let's talk about maybe a summary of it. You're the author, so tell us kind of what the inspiration was.
Well, the story is about a character named Trinian who was unfortunately coming from some very bad decisions. And he and his friends, they were really bad guys, and they came to understand the true nature of evil. Once they understood that, they realized they needed to fight against it, even though they knew without any doubt they were going to lose. So they're not heroes because of their morals or ideals, but because they know what the darkness is going to do, and they're going to fight against it, even though it means they're going to lose their lives.
Very cool. So how long did this take you to develop?
Well, I wrote the first draft 20 years ago. And then our artist, Heather Tyre, who did the cover art there, as well as some of the art you see behind me, she read it and said, this is amazing. And so that was what finally instigated the start of the company. And then 20 years later, we decided we finally should publish the book because we've been doing all the great art that you see around here.
Now tell us a little bit about Heather's involvement with this book and some of the sketches and how you guys maybe started collaborating.
Well, when she first read the book, there was no art, no sketch work. It was effectively just images from my imagination. We talked about it. She put together some character designs, and those things are actually in the book. You open the first few pages and you see the original concept art for all the characters. In fact, we've got some people in costume running around here as well that you can see from various characters, which has been great.
That's awesome. It must be nice to be able to see something you work so hard on kind of come to life through illustration.
It was absolutely amazing. When Heather first sent over the first concept sketches, I'm like, this is amazing. And then we had Sarah Nittman, who put together the very first costume design of Kahari. We're looking at the going, it was an idea, it was a book, it was then concept art, then it was costume, and amazing to see. That we've had some great inspiration from it.
It's nice how it's all kind of come together, and now it's a complete book that someone can get.
Absolutely.
Now, Alexander, you guys represent so many different talents on your website, authors, illustrators, artists. Who are we going to be meeting today?
You're going to be meeting Heather Tyre, one of the very first artists that we partnered with.
Joining me now is one of the amazing artists at Wildstar Tempest, Heather Tyre. Tell us a little bit about kind of your inspiration on working on the concepts and doing the illustrations for the book and kind of your involvement with it.
Okay, well, it started out, that was my very first step into fantasy, okay? I hadn't done fantasy since I was a teenager, and he came to me, and I was doing wildlife and horses and other stuff like that. And he says, well, your animals are great, so you should probably be able to do fantasy creatures. I'm like, yeah, no, sure, whatever. And he says, well, if I pay you to do a painting, will you do it? I said, oh, okay, you pay me, I'll do it. So I did the first painting for the book, and he says, well, this is really great, you should get into Comic-Con. And I said, what? What is that? I don't know what that is. He's like, whatever, I'll take care of you. So he gets me into Artist Alley, and it's just been up from there. So then fast forward another 14 years, okay? And he's like, okay, I'm ready to do this for real. I want to publish this, and I want a real cover, and I want to do all this. So I'll reopen the book. He's rewritten it a couple times by then. So I read it again, get a whole new perspective on it, and then that's when the imagery gets done for the cover. The characters and the design work over there was a lot of fun because he left it up to me. I didn't have to, he says, I don't want to restrict you on what you want to create. I want you to take it and do whatever you want. So I had free reign, other than the basics of what the characters were, and just went to town, and it was so much fun. And I didn't because it was kind of a new thing for me. I mean, I create characters of sorts, but not necessarily somebody else's. So when I was creating his, I thought, oh shoot, this is new. How do I do this without disappointing? But what ended up happening is because I was given so much freedom, I just dug right in, and I pulled it from everything. So this came from, again, observation. So when I was doing it, I had, this is kind of funny, I had a crab dinner once, and I was like, hey, these are really cool claws. You look at her thing that goes around her head, that's where that came from. It was inspired from the observation of just having a lobster and crab dinner. Okay, so this is where I go. And it goes really weird places. But yeah, so that's kind of where it started. And when I am given the freedom to do stuff like that, then I just go crazy, and it's so much fun.
That's awesome, and it also might give you an appetite for some crab when you're looking at.
That's right. That's right. And I live in Oregon, so it's right next door.
Oh, Alexander, all the good artwork starts off with concepts. Over here we have some that Heather did. Tell us about some of the characters and maybe some of the designs that went into them.
Wonderful. Well, up here we have Samara. Samara is the main antagonist of the book. She has been serving hell for all of eternity and is about ready to come to a complete win. However, there's only one person in her path that looks to stop her, which is Trinian, who she's very upset at because he was effectively working for her and has turned against her. Saber, which is a very good friend of Trinian, who is effectively a lycanthrope werepanther. Orissa, warrior of nature. Shadow, elven mage. We have Kahari down here, who is Trinian's closest friend and confidant. My favorite character, however, is Chromius, who is the eternal optimist, full of faith and believes in everybody, even though he's the only good guy of the group.
That's amazing. All these characters are ones that you created.
They're all ones that I created, and Heather came and put flesh on them and really made them come alive, which is just, again, each time I look at them, I'm amazed.
Now, to any aspiring authors, what's kind of the technique or the process when you have a character you want to develop? You want to develop their personalities, some details about them, so that they come to life more. What's some advice you have to aspiring authors?
The advice is very simple. It's produce. You want to produce. Keep writing. Never stop writing. In the book, there's actually certain journal entries of the various characters, which are things that I wrote to really learn and get their voice. So when you read the Journal of Shadow or the Journal of Kahari, those are actually the starts of who are these people, what was going on during certain very pivotal moments of their lives, and those journal entries are actually in there. So you read parts of the book, then the font changes, the whole script changes, and you're actually reading their journals. But write. Don't stop. If it's bad, just keep going, find the voice, and produce.
That's amazing. Now, we have all this wonderful artwork. We also have some people cosplaying Kahari, is that correct?
We do. Trinity Johnson is right now cosplaying Kahari. She came on down in a wonderful outfit, which is great.
And her costume, is it based off of the concepts here?
It is directly based off the concepts here, yes.
We're going to be giving one of these away on our social media sites, and now it's time for the giveaway. If you'd like to enter the giveaway for this book, Shifting Swords, because it has tons of depth put into it, developing the characters, the concept of the artwork, simply log onto our social sites and get entered. If you don't win the book, you can still order on wildstartempest.com. Alexander, thanks for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me.